I thought humans had advanced more as a species, but apparently we haven't. What do I mean by a shutdown? Well, we can't keep government open without a budget. And tonight at midnight, our current budget expires unless we vote to maintain the status quo and continue the current budget as we negotiate a new one. Many of my Democratic friends say, well, what's the problem? The Republicans are in charge. The president's a Republican, and the Republicans have a majority in the Senate, and the Republicans have a majority in the House. What's the problem? They know what the problem is.
Tonight, the clock is ticking toward a dramatic midnight deadline, and the United States government stands on the edge of yet another shutdown. Think about that for a second. At midnight, the world's most powerful government could literally run out of money to keep its doors open. Why? Because lawmakers can't agree on something as basic as a temporary budget extension. Now, here's what makes this especially shocking. This isn't about creating a brand new plan. No. Republicans are saying, let's just keep the current budget running for a few more weeks, give ourselves more time to negotiate, and keep government services alive. It's a move that has been done many times before under both Republican and Democratic administrations. In fact, history shows that during the Biden presidency, both sides agreed to these stopgap measures over a dozen times. So why now? Why the sudden refusal? Democrats are pushing back, saying the status quo isn't good enough. They want changes, big changes, that Republicans argue would blow up spending and add over $1 trillion in new commitments.
We can't pass a budget. We can't keep government open just with Republican votes here in the Senate. We only have 53 Republicans. We need 7 Democrats to join with us. So for my Democratic colleagues to say, well, the Republicans are in charge and they don't need us, they know that's not accurate. And that's what's going on. We did that many times when President Biden was president and when the Democrats had the majority. In fact, we did it 13 times. Not only have Republicans done it, but Democrats have routinely done it. But this time, the Democrats have said, no. We want more. And you may be thinking, okay, that's reasonable. What do you want? We don't want the status quo. We want you to commit to spending $1.5 trillion more.
One of the biggest battles unfolding in this shutdown fight is over health care. And it's not just about policy on paper. It's about who pays, who qualifies, and who gets left behind. At the heart of the clash are 2 programs, Medicaid reforms and Obamacare subsidies. Republicans are standing firm, saying their recent changes to Medicaid are about protecting taxpayers and stopping fraud. They point to shocking examples of people making 6 figures, $120 a year or more, still receiving Medicaid benefits meant for low-income families. Their argument is simple: Medicaid is for the poor, and if you make too much money, you shouldn't be on it. Democrats, however, are demanding those reforms be rolled back, insisting that cutting them off would leave too many vulnerable Americans without care. Then comes the second firestorm, Obamacare subsidies. During the pandemic, subsidies were expanded so more Americans, even middle and upper income earners, could afford health coverage. But those subsidies were temporary and they're about to expire. Democrats are saying they must be extended permanently, making them a standard feature of the healthcare system. Republicans call that irresponsible, arguing that people making $150,000 or even $200,000 a year should not be receiving government-subsidized insurance. And here's where the tension spikes. Democrats are essentially saying, agree to keep these subsidies flowing, or the government shuts down. Republicans are pushing back, saying that's not negotiation, that's extortion.
The law says if you make too much money, you can't get Medicaid because Medicaid is for the poor. In my state, we have found people through audits making $120,000 a year on Medicaid. And those subsidies at the end of this year are about to run out. Now, the Republicans have said, we'll sit down with our Democratic friends and talk about how to extend them, but we want to reform the program because it's not right that people making $125,000, $150,000, $250,000, $200,000 a year are getting their health insurance subsidized by the federal government. Mud. That's how you going to get it back open. How you going to get it back open? I wouldn't want to be in their shoes to have to make that decision. Let me just say a few words. Every time we do a shutdown, it scares the living daylights out of the American people, especially our elderly. It breaks my heart. All of us get phone calls from folks scared to death. They're not going to get their Social Security check, or they're not going to be able to see their doctor, and it just breaks my heart. So I want to give them a little bit of assurance.
Think about the workers. Hundreds of thousands of families suddenly left wondering how to pay bills, cover rent, or even buy groceries, all because Washington can't agree on a budget. Think about the tourists planning trips to national landmarks, only to find them closed. Think about veterans calling for help at an agency office, only to hear a voicemail saying services are temporarily unavailable. These aren't just minor inconveniences. They are real impacts on real people. And that's why every shutdown sends shockwaves far beyond Capitol Hill. Now, here's where opinion matters. Both party these consequences. They know Americans will suffer, and yet, time and time again, they still play this dangerous game of brinkmanship. And that's what makes this so frustrating. Because while politicians point fingers, everyday citizens are the ones stuck with the fallout. So, let's ask the tough questions together. Is it fair for millions of people to suffer disruption just because Congress can't compromise? Should leaders be allowed to use shutdowns as leverage, knowing the damage it causes outside of Washington's bubble?
During a shutdown, the executive branch will be in charge. And the Trump administration is not going to do anything to hurt our elderly. I want to assure them of that. If you're receiving a Social Security check or Medicare or Medicaid or a veteran's disability, your checks are going to continue. We will make sure of that. Trump administration will make sure of that. Government may be shut down, but essential workers will still be there to make sure those checks are sent out. If you're hungry and you don't have the money to eat, we're not going to let you starve to death. The administration is going to continue payments. We call it, some people call it SNAP. I call it food stamps. And we will continue the payments for the women, infants, and children's program. Most of us refer that to WIC. You'll still get your mail. Don't worry about that. Postal Service will be working through the shutdown. If you depend for health care on your Veterans Administration and VA medical centers, they're going to remain open. So I don't want you to be scared about that.